It's me, Chucky. My mommy is the best. Supermom will be next. She helps mommy get their smile stacked, their dickle stacked, and their sparkle stacked. You wait for the straw. Whoosh. Get ready for that super slippery, that super strong.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Healing the Soul podcast. It is your go-to resource for parents and want-to-be parents who strive for success without sacrificing connection and well-being. Each episode delivers actionable strategies and inspiring insights to help you build emotional intelligence and resilience for yourself and for your family. Strengthen relationships with yourself, your partner, and your children. Master parenting as an entrepreneur, even while raising young children. Discover life and parenting hacks that simplify your journey. Explore hypnosis and other healing modalities for a deeper transformation. This podcast isn't just about parenting and a fertility journey. It's about creating harmony, wealth, and alignment in every area of life. Let's get started.
This is season 6, and I am your host, Supermom Robin Stoltman. Today's guest is Raúl Pereyra, sorry, I messed it up. I tried. He is a leadership coach with his own framework for high achievers to thrive and flourish after helping them overcome self-limiting beliefs and confidence issues. Thank you, Raúl, for being here with our audience today.
Thank you for having me, and I really appreciate you trying. I know my last name is a tongue twister. It's Pereyra, and it's Portuguese origins. But I love, it shows that you respect me enough to try, and I appreciate that, Robin. But thank you for having me here. I can't wait to contribute some insights, and hopefully we can help some people move forward in their own journeys.
Well, yeah, and I definitely appreciate the alignment that we definitely have. And I just so we'll get right into it. How can post-traumatic growth help turn parenting challenges into leadership strengths? And maybe you want to give a little bit of your background at the same time to help reframe the question.
Yeah, very good. So what I'll start with is where I am today in my journey. I am a leadership coach, and I do work with quieting the inner critic, the self-doubt, and I help people show up more holistically. And I have a framework called the bag we carry, the beliefs, assumptions, and guardians, and help them unpack that. And it's a journey. I tell people it's a journey. I used to carry a very, very heavy bag. So I grew up with alcoholism in my household. My father was a violent alcoholic. And I never knew if I was going to get the loving, caring person or the violent alcoholic who tore our house upside down. So if you can imagine a lifetime of carrying a bag that was really defined by survival mode, had really limited my own potential as a leader. So I escaped through becoming an alcoholic myself, partying Thursday through Sunday, every single day, trying to stay away from the house. And as a young adult, those patterns continued. And it was not until 2021, during the pandemic, that I had a major awakening where I actually started to have and create new language, post-traumatic growth, right? I went through this growth. But it happened that I went through a appendicitis that went sideways very quickly. 3 surgeries, 3 months healing, in and out of the hospital at least 3 or 4 times. And I'll be honest with you, when I was in the emergency room the first time, I was looking, it was right around Christmas time. I was looking down at my kids after post-surgery. And it's almost like those movies, right? You put your hand on the window and you look down. And that was me. I put, and the kids are waving. This is about 4 years ago, and they're tiny. And they're in their rain boots and raincoats because it's raining. My wife and our friends that we were visiting were there as well. And I held it together, and I know they couldn't see me, but I started tearing up. And then I waved goodbye, and I lost it, Robin. That night, that day, I cried my heart out. And this is the first time in my life I did not run away. I couldn't find alcohol to escape or partying or avoid the situation. I sat there somewhere between the walls of the different hospitals and the 3 months with a PIC line inserted in me. I lost all kinds of weight. And that thought just kept hitting me, hitting me. Like, what am I doing? Is this what life's about? And I had a clear moment, a moment. I couldn't tell you specifically, but I remember in bed where I realized that I can cry about this all I want and just continue on my lifestyle after I'm healing. And like, oh, yeah, thank you, God. Now I can continue on and party it up and, whatever, right? Or I can do something about it. And the moment I chose one tiny word was the moment that changed my life. And that word is for. For the longest time, as I was struggling with these thoughts, as I was healing, I was thinking, I can't believe this is happening to me. I cannot. I was in denial. This is to me. And I felt like a victim and helpless. And that word was for. Once I said it out loud, I thought it first, but then I said it out loud. Wait a second. This happened for me. And it happened for me to give meaning to that experience. So I gave new meaning to the illness. I gave new meaning to my experience of growing up with an alcoholic parent. And with that, I was able to lighten the load, if you will. The bag I was carrying was full of shame, and it was really keeping me safe in survival mode. And now I was like, I don't need to continue to hold this bag. I can actually give new meaning to my experiences in my past because they're happening for me. So I went all in on organizational psychology. You see, my background is in leadership development and human resources. And I always knew that when I did trainings or I worked with leaders, they always wanted the shortcuts. Like, Raúl, just give me the training, give me the checklist, tell me, can I fire this person or whatever it was. And that never sat quite well with me. And now fast forward to years later, I'm like, yes, quick fixes don't work. You have to do the inner work. And for me, I was able to realize that early on, the trauma of growing up as a frightened child into a young adult, really, I understood that I was walking on eggshells and I was hyper vigilant and always in survival mode. I had the belief system of, hey, don't let anybody in because they're going to hurt you. So I couldn't open up myself, show up authentically. It's like, Raúl, love is only temporary. And, I had to overcome that stuff. But understanding that I went through a traumatic experience, some people usually equate post-traumatic stress with, like war veterans and going through war, which is absolutely valid. However, there's research that talks about if you go through a lifetime of living with a parent who is an alcoholic or an addict in drugs, that drip by drip, experience by experience, day by day, year by year, is really a cumulative trauma to your system. And as we know, right, you have the health issues and the stress and the anxiety and all that. But anyways, Robin, I can talk forever, but really that was my awakening point when I was able to look at my traumatic past and even the traumatic illness and reframe it all with one word and saying that it happened for me. I became unstoppable. New man, new person. I stopped drinking, and my goals are being present and loving with my children. This is what I learned.
No, and that's very, very helpful because it's like I'm thinking about like what you had said about how you were forced at that point. You couldn't go out and drink. You couldn't do all of you couldn't go back to the habit that you had. You were forced to lay in bed and deal with the issues. And then, like you said, you just broke down crying about how things have happened to you, and then you changed it to for you, which that's huge because that moves from that victim mentality to that thriving mentality. And like you said, that walking on eggshells, that I had to do that when I was a kid. And that doesn't help anybody at all. The, the eggshell walk. And it's one of those things that, like what you said in the corporate, I think that's one of the issues that, not one of the issues, they got a lot of issues, but the main issue is that when they don't want to invest in their team, they're like, well, I've had one person say they didn't want to invest in their employees' personal growth because, well, they expect them to be at work, they expect them to do all the stuff that they need to be doing, that their history and their past doesn't affect them. And I looked at that person, I'm like, no, it does. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with that person? But that's whatever. Because even when I said something nice about his fiance, he's like, I don't know who that woman is that you're talking about. I was like, okay, but whatever. He's the problem. He's got a revolving door. But it's like if people don't invest in their people, that's why they're having that revolving door. At least that's what I'm thinking. Because they're not valuing, hearing, or seeing their people in those places. And they need to because we bring our baggage with us wherever we go. It's like all the trainings that I've taken, I'm sure you've taken as well, is that they keep saying the same thing. No matter where we are, there you are.
I love it. Yes. And you said something important in terms of bridging, looking at that corporate, right, leadership,
Yeah.
and then individuals. As you know, that I forgot who said this, but culture is, for an organization is everything, right? So you don't have to have this revolving door and low retention and turnover, right? So culture is to organization as to character is to individuals. Once you elevate your character, right, you have higher standards, you start leading in a more better way. Just like an organization, once you elevate your culture, you're going to have more benefits um, in retaining and nurturing and developing top talent. So that's it. Just made me think about that. It's like we're human, right? We thrive in relationships, and sometimes we really have to look at externally how we lead. And what I teach people is like you also have to look internally. You have to have a relationship with yourself. You have to heal the internal before you can express it externally.
Yeah, because you can do like what I've done, like a lot of people, not just me. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people that try to change the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? You can change all the outside all you want,
Yeah.
but you're eventually going to have to face the person in the mirror that created all that outside mess. It still isn't working no matter what you've done. You've got to go back to the inner, to the core of who you are in order for the rest of it to show up on the outside of what you do want to start attracting that. And then as you were speaking, I was thinking about like, how can one translate that into parenting that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you went there because for me the mirror was my bed when I was healing. I had nobody else to blame. You know what I mean? And at some point I took control, right? So for parents, I'm a parent too. I have an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I spend more than half of my time being present and developing and supporting my children and being present for my wife. And then I spend the rest of my time doing the great work I'm doing with you, for example, on podcasts or with my coaching clients. And one thing that as you and I have been discovering from each other, we met and we reached out and we see a lot of alignment. And I thought, I am a parent. And part of what made me realize this, that sometimes we get trapped into one identity, right? And this is who we are, right? But the beautiful thing is, I know that the leaders, quote unquote, that I work with, they're also parents, right? At some point, they're also parents. Some of them may be younger, but the older ones I work with are also parents. And if we show up locked into a square that all we are is poor, poor me, I'm just a parent, how can I succeed or thrive as a business owner? Then guess what? If that's your true belief system and you have these assumptions underneath holding up those belief systems, guess what? Tomorrow is going to be more of the same. So if you continue um, along that trajectory with identity so rigid, then it's going to be very challenging for you to break free from that. And I'm not saying that being a parent is a bad thing. Actually, it's a beautiful thing because that is at the core of who we are. Like, I am a parent first, but I'm also a life coach. I'm also a leadership coach, right? Once we're able to look inward and say, wait a second, there's going to be some times where I'm more of a leader or more of a business person than I am as a parent. And I talk about it in terms of situational. Are you showing up in a situation where you're putting on the parent hat more, or you're putting on the leadership or the business owner hat, and knowing that there's not one specific perfect definition for a parent, that everybody's unique. And if you're able to embrace who you are at your core as a parent, but also be open to the possibilities of who you are becoming or who you want to become, if you want to thrive in if you want to do entrepreneurship, open up your own business, or part-time work, whatever it is. If you're a busy parent and you're at home, then you use that as a strength. But you always look inward. I love that you went there. It's identity based, and a lot of if our commitments are proof of the results, and our results are based on the identity in which we're trying to become, and that's powerful because it's future envisioning.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's like, even with that, a lot of, like, if you've read Maxwell Maltz's book about how, I haven't read the whole book, but like the one line that really stopped me, and I've been ruminating on it since, was, we can never outperform our own self-identity.
I love it.
So it's like when people are bringing this up, like what you said, it's the parents, it's the, I'm the boss now. Now I'm the leader at the work. And it's like, you're having issues in all those areas because you're not aligning all the things you're doing with the work that at your core of who you are. And that's like, like I said, like even before we started recording, I'm like, that's where I just hit. I'm like, the reason why I'm not having the success that I was having is because I'm not in alignment with what I was made for. Like, I was taking all these different aspects, and it's like, there has to be a way to work all the tools that I've been trained in. I've got a lot of them. There has to be a way to put them all together. And it's like, go back to what made me happy. Kids. I love kids. There's a reason why I've got so many of them. I'm just saying. To me, it's like, I love the light bulbs. Like in kids, like you can see the light bulb on it when they turn on. An adult, when they have a light bulb turn on, they get angry. They get mad about it. Anger is mad, but I'm like, they get angry about it, or they start feeling shame, or they'll feel guilt, because they're instantly remembering in that moment of, oh, this was a time I told myself I felt stupid, or I remember feeling stupid. I remember feeling dumb. And then all of a sudden they shut down that I'm not teachable anymore. They're not coachable anymore. And it's like, that's why. And then you want your kids to learn. Yeah. It doesn't work that way. Your kids aren't going to learn from somebody that isn't coachable themselves. You can't give what you do not have.
I love it. I love it, right? It's that old saying of, do as I say, not as I do, right? Like, how can you show up? How can you expect yourself to show up, to be present, show up authentically as yourself, as your parent, as a leader, whatever identity you gravitate towards, right? How can you expect yourself to show up as a parent if you're not willing to do the hard work, if you're not willing to stop getting in your own way and stop limiting your potential and your growth opportunities? But yet you expect that from this child who's depending on you, right? It's nobody gave us the manual. It's being a parent is one of the hardest, but yet most fulfilling leadership roles I've taken on. And it's not easy, right?
No, I think it's harder than marriage. I'm just saying. And like you're married, I'm married. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I think the parenting part is harder because I pretty much figured out the parenting is a lifelong journey of worrying about your offspring, keeping them alive. I got 7 boys, 1
Mm-hmm.
girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so my whole thing is I've got a lifetime of worry. I see my boys and I'm like, please God, my goal, just 18. Let's get them. I want them to live longer than 18. My goal right now is just like,
Uh-huh.
can we just get them there? Just get them there alive in one piece. Like they're boys.
Yeah. But that's beautiful, right? I think you hit something
Yeah.
very, very important in adults. Right now, you are goal driven, at least for the next more than 18 years, right? Because you have a, well, yeah, right around 18 years, you have the little one with you right there, which I totally love to see. And I think that's what, when we're parents or we're in the hustle and bustle in corporate America or wherever you're at in your journey, um, we may think that we know what goals are. We hear the word goals. Some people embrace them, some people run away. But the reality is, especially with a lot of the people I've worked with, um, we don't have a very clear understanding of setting goals. It's hard. No, you didn't go to high school or college or wherever you went and say, okay, here's a class on goals and objectives and milestones, and this is how you save your money and your checking account, and you can do a business and you want to do these goals. Like that doesn't really exist. It's like you said, you had to figure it out sometimes on your own. And I love that you said, I'm a mom. I have my goal is to raise beautiful little boys, and that's what's keeping me moving, because that goal is so powerful for you that it pulls you right into the future. When
Oh, it
when people,
definitely does.
yeah, when
Everything
people
I'm
don't,
everything I'm doing
yeah,
is building for them. I'm like,
exactly.
this is not for me. Like as much as people have told me, I can't tell you how many people that are coaches and all these people have told me, but what do you want? And I'm like,
Oh, I love
I
it.
don't
Yeah.
know what I want for me. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care about what I want for me. I'm building this for my kids. Then it's not like me not knowing like what I want. Sure, I want to travel. Sure, I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to do the things. I want to go speak. I want to go do those things. But it's like I'm not doing it for me. It's never been about me. It's been about my kids. What am I leaving them?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like my biggest fear that actually I'm not gonna try my best not to cry, but my thing is that my one son, he's 9. Okay. He's gonna have to get a job right around 15 if I don't get my stuff together and start earning where he can contribute to the family business. And that scares the shit out of me. It,
Mm-hmm.
it just does. I'm like, I don't want that for him. I do not want him to have to get a job. And some people may be like, well, blah, blah, blah. It's part of life. No, no, it's not. It's part of what can he do to contribute to his dream? What can I do to build his dream now? And that's what I'm working on because he sees what I'm doing. He wants to be a business owner. All my
Mm-hmm.
kids do, which is a good thing. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what am I doing to build them now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so then I'm also wondering at the same time, with a lot of people feeling that invisible weight of their past experiences, how can they start unpacking that feeling without feeling that overwhelm and even translating that into helping their kids when they're building a business?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a big question. How much time do we have? No. I'm kidding. But you know what? I'm hearing your story and I'm understanding where you're coming from. And I think it's beautiful that you are looking at being a parent more holistically, where you're a role model. Shoot, a business woman who is moving and running her business, and you're modeling that. So I think that's beautiful. Now, it's not easy, as you know, right? What I teach my my clients, that we all carry this bag. It's invisible. It's the invisible weight, as you said, right? And I use the metaphor of the bag. And inside the bag are all the old stories that we tell ourselves. And the old stories are shaped by our experiences and how we interpret those experiences. For me, the longest story I used to have is, shoot, poor me, I'm a victim of an alcoholic father. So therefore, is it any surprise that I also began drinking heavily at 14 years old? Was it any surprise that I didn't graduate from high school? Was it any surprise that I trying to live a fast life? No, it's not. It only became realistic for me. And thank God that I probably would have carried that bag on for the rest of my life. But thank God that this illness happened to me, because what I teach now is the framework in positive psychology is looking at what are the belief systems, or what is one core belief in your bag. Like, what do you believe? And how is that belief being supported by an assumption? Like, and how is that manifesting into a guardian, a protective pattern? Right. So I'll use me as an example. So one of the beliefs I've had was love is temporary. And the assumption was, if I open myself up to love, I'm going to get hurt. And my guardian, or the protective action, the external, was, I'm only going to try to be having surface relationships with women. I'm going to use them. I was that guy. Party fast. I was that dude. And I don't want to be unkind to myself, like I was ashamed of that. Yeah, there's shame there now as an adult. But at the same time, I am grateful that it happened, because now I am able to move. I'm able to take the lessons of unpacking that experience, or those aspects of my belief systems, and refashioning them into a more useful story I want to tell myself. You see, most people believe that time is linear. And yes, for organizing ourselves in business and going to school, we do work. Everybody has 24 hours in a day, right? That's important. But for the internal transformation of the baggage, of the bag that we carry, it's better to think about time more holistically. It's better to think about time as, I am here in the present. I am going to look into that bag, into a past experience. Let's just use the alcoholism parent, for example. And I'm going to grab that experience and I'm going to shift it, right? That's how you start to unpack it. You create that negative experience. So it didn't happen to me. I'm no longer a victim. It happened for me, and I quit drinking. So now I put it here, and then I use my imagination to look into the future, and I could visualize, have a goal. We talk about goals, that I want to be a more present father, loving and caring person who doesn't drink alcohol. That is my goal. So now I need to be pulled from that future, from that beautiful image and dream, and have this hope that I can reach that. And that's how I get pulled forward. So that's the power of transforming the bag, quote unquote, this heavy bag, into a jetpack. So it becomes rocket fuel to rise into a more better, beautiful, present person. And whatever the goal is. And that's one example of how we can start to take steps and become more aware that we are, quote, we do carry something with us, and that the best way is to get out of our own way and really start becoming more aware of what is it that we're carrying, and how can I change that old story into a story that's more useful. Because if you're unable to change the old stories, then guess what? Tomorrow's going to be more of the same. If you live in darkness, tomorrow's going to be more darkness. If you can see the potential that there's going to be light for tomorrow, then guess what? Your brain, as you know, your brain's going to look for the light, going to look for the beautifulness of the proof of what's going to get you closer to that goal.
Yeah, you're exactly right on that. And I was thinking as you were speaking about how, when you said about being pulled, like being pulled by the dream, because that is actual goal, is when you're being pulled by that dream. It's not the plan. It's what do you want, the end result of like what it is that you want. And like, for me, I'm thinking, I already know what I want to do on my last day on earth. Like if I were to die, Like, we're gonna die. You're not getting out of this world alive. Just a spoiler alert. You're born, you're gonna die. But like, even at that, it's one of those, if what are you doing on your last day? Like, if tomorrow didn't come,
Mhm.
are you doing what you want to be doing? And if you're not, you have the ability to change it now. And so when that inner critic does come up, is there an effective way to silence that inner critic? And what is that inner critic? Like,
Mhm.
to me, it's been the voices of my mom has been most of it.
Yeah, I
Like, she
get
taught
you.
me, like, my kids, they were so generous. They're like, the one, it said that he's fat and he's 3, and I'm like, oh, mommy needs to change what mommy's saying about mommy. Thank you for that. I says, I am skinny. So that's how I've been doing it. Like, when they pick up, I'm like, oh, I want to change that.
Hmm, hmm. I
Full
love it. Yeah.
transparency.
But
That's
but you hit a good point, right? Like the inner critic, the
yeah.
inner voice, the self-doubt, the perfectionism, right? Um, if you really think about it, and positive psychology backs this up, um, they're protective patterns. They're the guardians, the G part of the bag that I described, the metaphor. They're guardians. At some point, they protected you. They kept you safe, right? My guardian with my father and the experience, the example I shared earlier was like, hey, just get on, don't open yourself up to love because you're going to get hurt. So just stay in surface relationships with these women. And it served me well because it was born out of survival mode. So all I knew up to being a young adult and into adult life was survival mode. So my inner critic limit me from expressing and going after true love and opening up myself to the possibility of falling in love and starting my own family and having beautiful children and a wife I can love and adore. So they'll protect their, what I tell people is like they are protective mechanisms that unfortunately are helping to be consistent and express the old stories you keep telling yourself. If you still believe that love is temporary and that if you open up yourself to love, that you're going to get crushed, then the guardian, the action, the behavior is the one that's manifesting itself in the present. And what happens is that's when we say, hey, you're getting stuck. This is what we say, you are stuck. You are stuck in reliving a story you told yourself and you learned to tell yourself because of a bad experience or situation, whether it's traumatic or not. And if you're able to acknowledge and say, yep, Mr. or Mrs. Inner Critic, I hear you, but I'm going to jump into the swimming pool anyway. I'm going to do it scared because, as they say, right, you're never going to be confident and then do action. You're going to do action and then confidence follows, because you're going to discover that as you reframe and retell your stories, that the new stories you start to tell yourself, you're like, wait a second, I actually just jumped in and obviously I got the video, I got the lessons, and I learned how to swim, and I just jumped in, right? That's the new story you're going to be telling yourself, and that's the proof of you taking these big jumps. So this is why imagining your future self is so beautiful and powerful. It's goal oriented, because now that you have the power to reframe your past situation, you can start uncovering gems. You can start uncovering beautiful times that you've taken big 10x jumps or big leaps in your life. That if you flip it towards the future, you can use your imagination and say, guess what? I've done it in the past. What's prevented me from taking these big old jumps to starting my business, taking that promotion, being the leader I want to be, breaking free of an identity or a toxic relationship or limiting self beliefs? You have the power in the present to reframe your past, find the lesson or the gain or the win, and then start looking for what other proof you've had, and then imagine a future that's filled with new proof. And that's the exercise I think that you and I, where we align, where we're, as parents, this is why we're teaching our kids. This is why, the power of dreaming and imagination and having hope for a preferred future. This is why being a parent is so vital to the development of our society.
It definitely is. That's why I'm like, I see so many people that are moving from having children to animals. And I'm like, I used to be the pet parent because I'm like, I was told I wouldn't be able to have children. And here I am. My method, obviously, that I created works. I've helped other women get pregnant using it. And the thing is it's like when we're moving, like animals. I'm not sorry. I've had three of them, 2 cats, 18 years old each, and a couple months after, and then my dog, real recently after 6 weeks, after I had the baby, 4 weeks later. Not 4 weeks later. Yeah, 4 weeks later after I had my son here, I had my dog for 16 and a half years, a toy poodle. And as much as I love my cats and my dog, guess what? When I'm gone, nobody cares. Nobody's gonna know who my cats were. Nobody's gonna know who my dog was, just me. Nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna be wiping my butt. I worked in a nursing home. I know what it's like. That's why I say that. But my kids, they're going to be able to tell everybody about who I was, what I did, how I got them there. They're going to be giving other people jobs. I'm like, I don't see this just to see it. Our kids are literally our legacy. They're the ones that we're leaving behind. And a lot of parents, oh my God, today we could do the whole podcast about these parents today, how lost they are,
but
how they just don't.
It's true. It's true. And I think you're hitting on some really powerful points. And I think this is why you and I are doing the work we're doing. Like,
they need help.
Speaking of help, like the gift I am offering our listeners is a free coaching experience, a 5-day, 30 minutes a day coaching experience to start taking steps to unpack your bag. And if I may I give the URL?
Yeah, no problem, because that would definitely be helpful, because I was just going to ask before we closed how our audience can get in contact with you.
Exactly. And I just want, you're talking about help, and like, this is why we're serving, you and I. This is why we are aligning. And I created a challenge. Who doesn't love a challenge, right? So I created a challenge. It's a tiny challenge, and you can find information and sign up. It's a free coaching experience, one-on-one coaching experience. And it's my website is rtplearning.com. So it's Raúl Torres Pereyra. That's the initials, RTP learning.com/tiny, the word tiny. So it's rtplearning.com /tiny. Get on there. If you feel like you're being called to take action, if you feel like you're tired of the inner critic and you want to step into a more powerful leadership role, I would love for you to take me up on my free offer. It's a gift for you. I love that we're doing this podcast because all change starts somewhere, and it starts with you. This is why we're here.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I appreciate you so much. And I've appreciated this conversation. And it's like sometimes I probably get a little too much on how I feel about things, because it's passion.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what it is. And so it's like, I get louder, I get more, but it's like, it's really that passion. I just want to be able to, I just generally want parents to do better, because when they do better, their kids do better. It can't go the other way around. Like when you're married and you're treating your partner like crap, well, you get back, like we all do. And that's the beautiful part about parenting, because the kids are rapid pace. They'll shove it right back in your face immediately. But it's like, that's an opportunity.
I love it.
An opportunity to grow.
It's like you're modeling the behavior in any role, right? If you're a leader at an organization or a parent, you're a leader in your own right. people are looking at you for direction. So if you're going to be, you and mom and dad are going to be fighting, guess what? Those kids are picking up those bad habits. I
Oh
love it.
yeah, they definitely do. So,
Yeah.
well, I've enjoyed this so
I
much.
love
And
it.
just one
Yeah.
more time before we close out today, how can they get in contact with you?
So go to my website. It is rtplearning.com /tiny, TINY. So it's rtplearning.com /tiny. Would love for you to reach out and say hello. And if you're ready, then apply. And this is a free opportunity for you.
As always, I just want to thank you for your time and energy while listening to today's episode of Healing for the Soul podcast. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Healing for the Soul podcast wherever you get your downloads, you're listening to your podcasts, and keep coming back for more episodes. Thank you, everyone, for your time and your energy while listening to today's episode of Healing for the Soul podcast, which also can be found on YouTube.